The kamikaze doctrine ran on one premise. Enough aircraft aimed well enough would sink anything. Off Okinawa, the doctrine usually worked. One hit could gut a destroyer. Laffey took 6, plus 4 bombs, and the premise broke against her hull instead. 16th April 1945, radar Picket Station number 1. The screen crowds with inbound aircraft as gun crews slam into their mounts and swing the barrels up. One destroyer stands alone, with the captain who put her here, Commander Becton. The ship at Station number 1 was not a novice. USS Laffey was an Allen Sumner-class destroyer, hull DD-724. She had shelled the Normandy beaches on D-Day and fought her way across the Pacific to Okinawa. A good hull, but the hull is not the story. The story is the man on her bridge. Commander Frederick Julian Becton had watched a ship called Laffey die before. The first one, a different hull, same name, went down off Guadalcanal in November 1942. Torn apart in a night action, he survived, and she did not. That was not the last ship he lost. Weeks into commanding the destroyer USS Ward off Guadalcanal, Japanese aircraft found her too and left her a wreck, under tow. Becton had now seen it twice. The same weapon, the same result. Most men would call that bad luck. Becton called it a warning. He drilled his crew for the suicide plane, the way other captains drilled for fire, relentlessly, past the point of complaint, until the response was pure reflex. He knew exactly what was coming for a ship like his. He had buried the evidence twice, and he did not intend to bury it a third time. Radar Picket Station number 1 was the forward tripwire. 50 miles out ahead of the fleet, it was the first contact for every raid inbound to Okinawa, and therefore the first thing every kamikaze pilot saw. That is where the Navy stationed Becton's ship. His constant drilling was about to meet 22 aircraft, all of them arriving at once. 22 aircraft. That is the number the survivors settled on afterward. And no two accounts of that 80 minutes agree on the order. So forget the order. What matters is the pressure. They came at Laffey in waves, from bearings that kept changing, and her guns answered all of it at once. The 5-inch mounts, the 40s, the 20s, everything that could bear opened up and stayed open. Valves came in low over the water, and the gunners caught them. One dropped. Then another, trailing fire. Then a third, that cartwheeled into the sea a few hundred yards short. For a while the barrage held. The planes kept coming anyway. You cannot knock down all of them. Not with this many, not for this long. The first suicide plane got through and hit her aft, and then a bomb, and then more of both. Fires opened up on the fantail. The rudder jammed, and the ship kept steaming, turning in a slow circle she could not correct, and the guns that still worked never stopped firing. One of the men directing that fire was an ensign with a microphone strapped to his neck, calling targets by voice because his hands were busy and the noise had swallowed everything else. He was doing arithmetic in his head. Lead, range, the closing speed of a plane meant to kill him, and calling it out steadily enough for the men on the guns to use. He stayed at it while the hits landed around him. That is the detail I keep coming back to. Below and aft, where the planes had struck, men were trapped in wreckage. Their shipmates went in after them, through smoke, through flooding, through spaces that were still burning, and dragged them clear while the attack went on overhead. The ship was being taken apart around them, and then the battle flag came down. The battle flag came down somewhere in the middle of the worst of it, shot from the halyard, or torn loose by blast. The crew never agreed on which. By then, Laffey had taken kamikaze after kamikaze aft, and the bombs were finding her too. The stern was on fire. The rudder had jammed. Below the bridge, men were doing math that ended in the water. A sailor went up the mast. I don't have his name. The record didn't keep it, and that bothers me more than I can say. Planes were still coming in. The guns below him were still hammering, and he climbed anyway into the one part of the ship every attacker was aiming at, to put the colors back where they belonged. The flag went back up. That is the whole point of this chapter, so sit with it. On the bridge, Someone raised the question every manual said to raise, whether to prepare to abandon ship. Becton's answer was 2 words: hell no. Not while a gun still works. That was not bravado. It was an order with a condition attached, and the condition was still being met. The 5-inch mounts forward were firing. So the ship stayed. A bomb came in close. A sailor grabbed his captain and shoved him clear of the blast, put hands on the commanding officer and threw him down, which in any other hour would be unthinkable. Becton lived because of it. Understand what was happening here. The decision to keep fighting was not made once, on the bridge, in a sentence. It was made again at every mount that still had a crew and a barrel that would elevate. Fire. And you had voted to stay. The flag going back up and the gun staying manned were the same statement, made twice. When the last attacker finally broke off, the only question left was what remained of her. "80 minutes. That is how long it lasted. From the first plane on the radar to the last. 1 gone. And when the sky over radar Picket Station number 1 was finally empty on that morning of April 16th, 1945, USS Laffey was still there. Hold, burning, listing, but afloat. Add up what she absorbed. 6 kamikaze struck home, and 4 bombs on top of them. Her stern was a wreck of twisted steel. Her rudder jammed, fires eating through compartments the crew could not yet reach. 32 of her men were dead. More than 70 were wounded. That is the cost of the 80 minutes, stated plainly, and her colors were still up. The same flag they had rehoisted under fire, still flying over a ship that by every reasonable measure should have gone down. Becton's crew had fought the assault to a standstill and kept her floating. There is one more entry in the record, and it is a strange one. Laffey carried 2 cameramen aboard that morning. Both of them were killed. So the worst mass kamikaze attack any single destroyer survived at Okinawa produced no photograph of itself. We have the wreck, the logs, the men who lived. We do not have the pictures. She survived. That is the fact. The question is how, and the answer is not luck. "6 kamikaze, 4 bombs, 80 minutes, and Laffey lived. Here is the verdict, and I will not soften it. This was not luck." Becton had watched the suicide plane do its work twice before. Once on the first Laffey at Guadalcanal, and again on his own Aaron Ward. And he drilled his crew against exactly this. The drilling was put to the test off Okinawa, and it held. Preparation met a crew that stayed at the guns while the ship burned around them. That flag they rehoisted was still flying when the last attacker was gone. They saved her. Once repaired, she went on to serve into the Korean War, and she is still here. The destroyer that would not die floats today at Patriots Point in Charleston, tied to the pier as its own evidence. That is the story. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time on Ask Sable. Thank you for watching. If this held your attention, like it, subscribe, and send it to someone who argues about destroyers. I'll see you next time on Ask Sable.